Hey, Dennis O'Brien back again on Let's Talk About It with another great show. And of course, what makes our show great is the guests we have, and we have another group. We have a group of guests today, a group of two. Anyway, from the Willimantic Fire Department, our chief, Ron, and our deputy chief, Peter Bruscato. And, it's great to have you guys on. I've worked with you this year. We had, our old former chief resigned. He retired. Yeah. And you guys took over. First you, Ron, and then Ron Palmer, and then Scott Bruscato became the deputy chief. And, you have not missed a beat. Things are going well. The department is in good hands. And I'm always pleased. Ron's been on the show before. I'm always pleased to have you on. And Susan suggested to me a couple of weeks ago, why don't you have chief on and somebody from the fire department on to talk a little bit about fire safety in the winter. But let's talk a little bit about the fire department and where you're at right now. And Susan wants to say something.
Yeah, I just want to say I want to welcome our guest to the show. And I think it's an important time of year to talk about fire safety. A lot of people have wood stoves or they have Christmas trees that might be too dry. Just to remind people about all the possibilities for fire, and of course it's dark sooner, so you wonder about the candles and whether or not we could get maybe a different type of candle instead of one with fire. So all those kinds of things, I'm pretty sure our chief and deputy chief will be very, very happy to fill us in on what to do to make sure we don't have fires. But I want to thank them for their amazing work that they do here in town and keep us all safe and providing mutual aid all throughout the region. So thank you both for being here today.
Well, they are one reason why I, at my advanced age, am not retired from local government life, because I want to work with them, because they do such a great job. The police department does a great job, and I'm really pleased to be on the Willimantic Taxing District Board of Directors. Last year I was fortunate enough to spend it as the president pro tem. Had to do the agendas and all that stuff, and they probably won't let me talk as much this year, but that's okay. A lot of people try to stop me from talking anyway, and even on the show, right, Matt?
I'm going to stay up.
Not you, okay.
Matt stays out of that one.
You're going to stay cool
but
on that.
We appreciate Matt Rupar, our producer. Thank you so much, Matt. Without Matt, we wouldn't be here.
I'm especially happy to have Peter on the show, because I've heard a lot of great things about you and some of the stuff you did before you became a deputy, and the reason why you are the deputy chief, because you've gone above and beyond, as far as I can tell, from helping to get grants and helping to get funding so you can pay for certain items, capital items and whatnot. You want to talk a little bit about your history with the fire departments?
Hey,
I know you started in
Dennis, before Pete takes over the show,
okay.
I just want to say thank you for that kind intro. Representing the Willimantic Fire Department, as well as doing EMS for the entire town of Windham. We truly appreciate all the support that you individually, both of you, have provided to our department over the years and continue to work with us for a better community. So I just wanted to say that before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show.
Well, I grew up in New Britain. I understand the importance of police and fire, and we had fire stations all over the place, and I knew a lot of the firefighters. My father's only brother was a police officer, and public safety was a big deal to me and to my family when I was just a kid. And then we had a fire here in our family.
Absolutely.
Over on
Summit Street.
Summit Street, 125 Summit Street, and the Willimantic Fire Department did a marvelous job, along with help from other fire departments, of saving that beautiful house.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We worked really hard that night, and
you did.
Glad that you're still able to have that place in your family, and it looks great. Every time we go by it, it looks amazing. You do a great job keeping it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leslie loves the place. Leslie and Tony and the two kids, and I guess they only had one kid at the time. One was a baby, and the other one was on the way. And the dog, and it was amazing. It's one of those buildings that goes up fast.
Yeah,
and I don't know, what do you call it, balloon construction or something like
That's
that?
That's correct. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, there's no fire stops in the walls.
Right, and so
there are now.
Yeah,
and it was close to the house next door on the one side there, and that's where the damage was the most. But the place was the outer walls were, and everything was preserved. and they were able to rebuild and
Awesome.
within the inner part of it, and still enjoy that house. And we're going to be there on Christmas Day.
I have to just say, it's the most sustainable house, Victorian house, probably in the whole town, because they put in all the stops and measures for fire safety, but also for making sure that it's winterized with good, insulation and really double pane windows and the things that you need to keep the house warm without utilizing more energy than necessary.
I can say, as a firefighter, when you have a situation like that and you're able to go back, save the property so that the property owners can clean up the fire damage, remain in the property, that is a huge pride factor for the firefighters, because we do take our jobs very seriously. We work very hard to try to preserve property. That's one of our 3 missions in our fire service, is preservation of property. So we're so relieved and happy and proud to hear the feedback from our customers when we do save their property. So
that was an especially fulfilling thing for all of you and for us too, because the building was saved, the people were saved. You guys were there before I got there and Susan got there, and Leslie called us immediately and said, our house is on fire. We got dressed, we ran over there, and you were already fighting the fire. It was amazing. I mean, your response time is incredible. Incredible.
Thank you.
I've had that experience with the fire department when I was coaching Little League, when a kid got hit in the head with a bat, and the ambulance was there, like, boom,
awesome,
and saved that kid. Probably saved that kid's life. It was amazing. It was so scary.
Yeah.
But anyway, we realize the importance of public safety, and one of the reasons why we want to have you guys on, not just today, but periodically,
sure,
of
course,
just to teach the townspeople about how Well, we all know how dangerous fire is, but nobody knows like you do, and nobody knows what we can do about it to prevent it like you guys do. But I want to get back to Peter just a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, you did some grant work. I know that, and I was amazed when I heard about it. Just talk about it a little bit. I know you don't. Maybe you don't want to talk about yourself, but I want you to do that. Okay, I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of the chief.
So, as far as the grant work, actually, it started before I was on the committee in the department. Around 2002, we really started getting involved with grants. I think actually Mike Bergeron was the first one to start writing some of them. And since that time, up until now, we've got just around $3 million in grants for the department. Some of them were solely for fire prevention. Others were for the infrastructure of the building, exhaust system for the cancer prevention because of the diesel apparatus, a bunch of training and equipment, numerous grants for training and equipment.
Okay, well, I appreciate all you've done. I know when I first heard about it, not from you, but probably from Chief Scrivener, praising you and praising others. And I've been there when I was on the board. I was on the board for a long time before it became a separate board. And we went over there and took a tour, and I think you were one of the ones who took us around and talked about all the stuff that is done over there when you're not fighting a fire. And one of the things that I wanted to say just before we get into talking about fire prevention is the ambulance part of what you do. And if you could talk a little bit about the ambulance and what an important part of the public safety in Wyndham, in all of Wyndham, it is. Please talk a little bit about it, Chief Palmer.
Sure. Before I do that, though, I need to send a shout out to Senator Joe Courtney. His office has worked very closely with the fire department and the grant programs, the Assistance to Firefighters grant program. So I just I'd be remiss if I didn't mention his name. He's worked really hard with us over the years to help us through these processes.
He was sitting in the chair you're in right now about 4 or 5 weeks ago. We had him on the show.
We just want to wish him well. He just had knee surgery, so good luck, Joe, with your healing. And we're very thrilled that you're getting it done during this little space that you have, and we look forward to working with you some more. So.
He'll be happy to know that you promoted him to senator. But that's okay.
Okay.
He's very happy being in Congress, and we're happy to have him there.
Nice. Okay. I tried.
I tried. Very good. You did well.
Right. So the ambulance service historically for Willimantic or the town of Wyndham really can kind of trace its roots back to the funeral homes in town. Kind of started that business, and it kind of evolved from that. Locally in Willimantic, probably around 1973, the state of Connecticut was really started to pay attention to emergency medical services, and they had a couple of public acts, I believe, that were passed to support and acknowledge emergency medical service. We've grown extensively over the years. We currently have 4 ambulances in our fleet with the goal of maintaining 2 ambulances in service for emergency responses at all times. The town of Wyndham funds the ambulance service. The Willimantic Fire Department manages it and directs the operations of it. Annually, we are doing close to 4,000 calls for service that are based on medical needs to the community. And within the past 3 years, we've also extended a service contract to the town of Chaplin to provide transporting ambulance service for that town as well to help them in their time of need. Additionally, we do a tremendous amount of mutual aid responses to our surrounding towns to support their operations as well. We do bill. We use a third-party billing company to recoup costs of operations and maintenance. So if anybody has had to use our service, they may have noticed a bill. Typically, it goes to the insurance companies first. But annually, the revenue that we do collect from ambulance billing about pays for the ambulance service.
That's fantastic.
Give or take, it could be a downturned year.
Sure.
We may be, slightly below our revenue goals. But the difference that the taxpayers would have to pay for is a small amount in comparison to what it would cost the town for a private, for-profit ambulance service to do the job that we are doing. And the other benefit that the town receives is that our firefighters are EMTs. So depending on the call and the time available, the time of day that we're available, you're getting a dual service. You're getting firefighters, and you're also getting EMTs.
So I was going to ask you that question. I see, or mention it, that you have a highly skilled group of people doing this work, much more highly skilled than you're going to find in most other places.
Absolutely,
I think it's incredible.
Yeah, our team of firefighters, we have men and women firefighters. Our team is absolutely outstanding. A lot of the work was done by a lot of our captains and lieutenants over the years that have worked to develop our firefighters into the great team that we are now. Deputy Chief Bruscato had a lot to do with that. At the state level, we send our recruits to the Connecticut Fire Academy recruit program. And any instructor that teaches in that program will tell you that the Willimantic firefighters are like the Swiss Army knife of the Connecticut Fire Service. We do everything that we possibly can in all different types of emergency responses. And when you are a Willimantic firefighter, you have that reputation of being able to do a lot. And there are other larger departments in larger municipalities where the firefighters aren't required to do as much as, say, a firefighter in Willimantic. So very proud of our team. They give it their all every day, and I couldn't be more proud to be their chief.
I just wanted to say, one of the things when I was chairman of public health, I worked on making sure that there's a good relationship between all the, emergency medical services providers and the public safety providers as well with the state of Connecticut, particularly with respect to ambulance services with the Department of Public Health and Certification. One of the things that I learned during that time was that the Willimantic fighter ambulance service actually had a very high level of certification.
We do.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So not only are we EMTs, but there are a lot of medical techniques or practices that EMTs are permitted to do by statute, and our firefighters have acquired additional training. For example, somebody who has diabetes, we can check their blood sugars. We have the equipment to do that. We have the ability to administer aspirin to somebody who may be having crushing chest pain, which is an early onset of some type of heart issue. So just those two things come to mind first. We can also administer epinephrine to counteract the effects of an anaphylactic reaction. So there are a lot of things that we can do within the scope of an EMT that some services do not provide. And one thing that makes us special is that we are a licensed agency versus a certified agency. There's two classes in Connecticut. You can be a certified ambulance service or a licensed ambulance service. The big difference is, as a licensed ambulance service, it gives us more flexibility in the treatment that we can provide, as well as the ability to transfer people from facility to facility if necessary, especially in critical care situations. Everybody is probably aware, if you've been in Connecticut for 25 plus years, you know of the LifeStar helicopter program that is run by Hartford Healthcare. Many times, LifeStar cannot fly due to weather conditions. So our ambulance, for example, is that key link to getting somebody from Wyndham Hospital to, let's say, Hartford Hospital for an advanced higher level of care. So having a license gives us the ability to do that.
It's very, very good, and that is one of the things that I was really pleased and proud to find out about what we do with emergency medical services. And the other thing that I watched over the years in my background with Medicare and Medicaid was the changes in providing emergency medical services. So back in the late 70s, early 80s, there would begin these things called paramedic intercepts. And of course, we were okay because we had this great certification already, and we had the capacity to do that. But in other areas where more rural, in areas where we had more volunteers, or even where we had, I'm talking statewide now, where we had privatized ambulance services, paramedic intercept had to be done, and then the that particular fire department had to submit the insurance to the Medicare, Medicaid programs. And many times, because they weren't certified and they didn't have the Medicare or Medicaid certification, they'd send the bill to the patient.
Right.
And when the patient got the bill, they said, "Oh, we're not. If we have a problem, we're not going to go and request ambulance services anymore." You want to tell us a little bit about how that works now?
Right. So the third party ambulance billing company that we use, we have a great relationship with them. They typically handle most of the billing, but one thing that makes our community unique to others is the high amount of members in our community that are dependent on Medicaid or Medicare to cover their medical expenses. And one thing that we've done recently is we have maintained complete transparency and compliance with Medicare guidelines. Within the past year, we went through a very extensive Medicare audit as a service, which the results were that we're doing a fantastic job. That we're able to work within the established parameters to make sure that the patient is not seeing a bill that should be covered by Medicaid or Medicare. And a lot of that work starts with our boots on the ground. Our firefighters are doing a fantastic job using technology such as tablets, where they can actually start a patient care chart on scene. And the importance of that is that the information that they collect is vital to completing the reporting process, so that when the billing company processes these ambulance reports, the work is pretty much done at that point, and it makes the billing company's job much easier. It provides a direct conduit to get Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement in a more timely manner so that it doesn't go back to the patient.
Thank you so much for that work and those explanations.
Yeah.
Well, as a man my age, I feel very, very comfortable living here in the city of Willimantic, in the town of Wyndham, and having that kind of service available to me. The only other thing I want to say before we get into our main topic is that I can remember years ago, I don't know when I heard it, whether it was in the probate court, I don't think I was in the town council, but our recovery of Medicare, Medicaid bills payment was not very good for a while, and then when you switched over to the having it, I don't know when that happened. But I remember when it happened, it made a big difference.
Yeah, I'm not sure the exact date, but yeah, to that point, again, I think just having that solid relationship with our billing company.
Right.
I communicate with them on a monthly basis.
Sure.
I have access at any given moment to an online platform with a dashboard
Yep.
where I can actually track in real time, for that particular day, what our revenue collection rates are looking at, completing transports. All the data that I need is really at my fingertips now, and that's vital. Especially when you receive a random call from a concerned citizen who has questions about their ambulance bill. At least we know which direction to look in to try to help them out with that.
Well, administratively, you guys are got to be real busy. I mean,
Yes.
you have to report to our committee every other month. And appear at our committee meetings as often as we have them, sometimes two times a month, and give us all of this information. And you compile it and you do it in obviously a very intelligent way, because it's got to be, or else you wouldn't be able to do that.
Well, we appreciate that, and obviously we want to, as a public service, we want to make sure that we are as transparent as we can be.
Right.
And I think what we need to look at with our reporting process to the board of directors in Willimantic is it shouldn't be a laborious process. It should be like having a conversation, like we are now.
Right.
And to go in, and it's okay not to have all the answers.
That's right.
But to know where to look to get the answers, and then to follow through on questions that we may not be able to answer right there on the spot. So I think that the relationship that we have built over the years with the board of directors has been phenomenal. And, it's really not we got another meeting tonight. Oh, I have to give a report. It's not like that anymore. It's a very more relaxed and acceptable atmosphere because of that relationship and the transparency that we maintain.
Well, you starting with this new system of the board, having just the board be independent of the town council, it has really changed a lot on our side of it, and we're a lot more. You've really given us a lot of information. We've become fairly sophisticated about what you do. We got a long way to go because you do so much, but it is. I can tell you that I at least for the four members that. We have two new members, but I sense they're very excited about being on the board. And for the members that have served with me for the past 2 years, the four members, I know they have the extreme confidence in you and Peter and the whole department, and also the police department, because of the way you keep us informed. And I think you're working just like we are. When you're involved in politics, you're not politicians, but we are, and we are also government officials, and you are operating in a goldfish bowl, and everybody wants to know all about what there is going on. That's one of the reasons why I like to have you on the show so often, so you can talk to people
No, I
and
appreciate
explain
that.
to them. I mean, this is not easy.
Right.
Susan Johnson wants to say something.
Yeah, this is Susan Johnson. I'm here with my co-host Dennis O'Brien, and we have our wonderful, very special guest this evening, Fire Chief Palmer and Deputy Fire Chief Bruscato, and we will be right back after these messages, so stay tuned.
Hey, Dennis O'Brien back again with another great Let's Talk About It show. We have our Fire Chief Ron and our Peter Bruscato, our Deputy Chief here, and we've been talking about the fire department and all of the things it does. The main reason we have them on the show, though, is to talk about fire prevention, especially during the winter months, which we are in right now.
Yeah.
Pretty darn cold. Today is rainy, but we're having a lot of cold weather, and we will get a lot of cold weather, as you know, until springtime, which is my time of year.
You're right.
Okay, so
Yep.
anyway, you guys want to tell us all about what we should be, what you want to pass on to the public about fire prevention.
Sure.
Being careful.
Yeah. So trying to be organized like I like to be.
Yeah, you are.
I broke it down into different categories. So let's start with heating equipment. I think that's a real key one. Often we go to calls for furnace backfires and smoke in people's houses, and what it really comes down to is just a lack of maintenance on their boiler or furnace. So a couple of things. If anybody is using space heaters, obviously follow the directions that come with the heater. Those are very important. Make sure that the space heaters are UL certified. Keep them at least 3 feet away from anything that could be flammable. which is just about anything these days. Our houses now are filled with more plastics and synthetic material than the old days, let's say. And the other thing is, don't leave them unattended. If you have pets, then the pet might be prone to going near the heater. That's also an area of caution, as well as young children. So a lot of things to remember. It's not just about setting it up and plugging it in and leaving it alone. You have to tend to it at all times and be mindful of it. And then getting back to furnaces, having a regular preventative maintenance schedule is really important. Any of the local contractors in the area that specialize in heating can help you out with that. But having that inspection of the furnace, and if you have a chimney and you're a wood burning individual, it's super important to have your chimney cleaned out annually to prevent the creosote buildup within the flue, which ultimately can lead to chimney fires, which we know chimney fires have a tendency to extend beyond the chimney and start to actually burn the structure of the house. So those three key things there: 3 feet away from anything flammable, don't leave them unattended, and annual inspections for heating equipment.
Well, I think I would never burn wood. It's just too dangerous. After the fire that occurred in our daughter's house and son-in-law's house happened because they had a fireplace and they were burning wood.
Well, actually, let's be a little bit clear about that, because we had the brick, and so the mortar between the bricks, because it was so old, the heat got through that, and behind the fireplace was wood, a wooden structure to keep the fireplace in place. And so what happened is, because the mortar between the bricks, with letting the gas through, it caught the wood behind the fireplace. They put the fire out the correct way before they went to bed. Everything was out. I was actually there that night. I was on my way to the gym and saw that, and she put everything out, and there was nothing going on in the fireplace at all.
Yeah.
But because of the mortar, and because of the way that the historic people had put the fireplace together with wood behind it, that's what caught fire and shot straight up.
No, I
through the
understand.
chimney.
I'm not blaming them.
I just want to be clear about what's
I don't want
out.
to. I don't want to start a family.
Yeah.
Please, I'm just trying to say, if
Yep.
you do have a
Yep.
fireplace with brick
Yep.
that's old, the mortar
Oh,
needs
Jesus,
to be
yeah. Good point.
sealed. That's all I'm trying to say
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
and I'm explaining why, because I go on too long, I know, but
No.
And that's a good segue into like
Thank you.
fireplace precautions and stuff like that, because I actually have a fireplace in my house. Don't use it very much anymore because we have a wood stove in the basement. But annual cleaning and inspection of the chimney, the mortar, as you spoke about, using fireplace screens in front so sparks don't start popping out and running around. I think of back to the old Bugs Bunny cartoons where the little flame would run around. Dispose of ashes in a metal container away from the house. Make sure some people take those ashes and they throw them outside. Make sure they're cooled off, because we've actually had, and everybody thinks, oh, you don't get brush fires in the wintertime. But we've had brush fires started from people throwing ashes outside when they still were, quite warm in the middle of them or whatever. And, basically just, especially with kids around and stuff like that, you have to be extra careful with any of this stuff.
very good. Thank you for that. That's great, because we never thought about the mortar and making sure it's sealed and that
No.
sort of stuff. That's
Right.
Why would we think about it?
And by the way, the people who inspected her chimney annually never told her about the mortar either.
Yeah.
So she had annual chimney inspections as well before they actually utilized the fireplace. And
guess
the
the-
people who were supposed experts in that area should have informed them about the problem with the mortar.
I guess the lesson is if you have an old house and the fireplace is old, you better be extra careful.
Absolutely.
Extra careful.
Absolutely.
I certainly wouldn't burn wood in a place like that. I
Right.
would be scared after what happened to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we're talking about fireplaces. Let's just kind of dial that back to a little micro level when we talk about candles. Let's talk about candle safety. Having a stable base, a heat-resistant surface where your candle is going to be placed is super important. I mentioned earlier about children or pets. That's another consideration. It's not that it's the curiosity a lot of times, or it's just the lack of situational awareness, and a candle can get knocked over very easily. So just some considerations there. And obviously we want to encourage battery-powered candles, those faux candles that are available, those can emit just as much light as a natural candle. So there are options out there, and obviously do not leave them burning unattended. Make sure if you're leaving the room, if you're leaving the house, that you do a thorough job and make sure that the candles are blown out.
And just like the fireplace and the heating equipment, distance too. You can't have your candle very close to, dish rags or towels that you have in your kitchen, or maybe on top of a cloth, a table cover or something to that effect. These things, unfortunately, sometimes be catalysts for starting fires.
You would think that would be common sense, and I think it probably is for people as old as even the younger of us here. But when you're really young, and this is really aimed at, I'm thinking when I was younger, and I remember using candles, and I don't think we've used candles in a long, long time, Susan. I can't recall.
Well,
We use them when the power goes out. But
Yeah.
I also have,
Yeah.
I have
right.
a lot of flashlights. We have lanterns.
Flashlights
We
and
have a lot of
yes,
things
the
that
electric
are.
stuff, yeah.
And we have things now. A candle really can't do your work. And when the power goes out, we must continue our work, right, Dennis? And so I have
Absolutely. Can't
lanterns.
stop
I have
working.
lanterns instead now
You
that
have
are
lanterns.
battery operated.
you guys
Yes,
are prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Candles.
We never stop working now.
No.
Yep, this is a couple of facts, and these are verified through the National Fire Protection Association, FPA. December is the peak month for candle use in the home. Now, people burn candles year-round because they enjoy the scented candles and the fragrance and how that makes their surroundings smell. But December is the peak month for candle use, and more than 1/3 of home candle fires are started in bedrooms.
Ooh.
So heavy reliance on candle use in bedrooms. So just a tip to our listeners.
I'll say
to
this
kind of be
once,
aware.
I'm not going to say it again. Candles, back when I was young, I think candles were kind of romantic.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why I'm talking about young people,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
when I was young.
yeah. And they used to be quite. When you go out
That was a
to
long time ago.
when you go out to restaurants, a lot of the candles would be on your table.
Yeah, that's
You know.
right.
Having fire in my
Forgotten
house,
about
though,
that.
doesn't turn, it scares me.
Yeah, no, I got you. I got you. So some other areas too is electrical safety. 'Tis the season. There's many different holidays celebrated by many different denominations during the month of December. So electrical safety is important. We talk about not overloading your outlet. With holiday lights or additional appliances. Checking your cords to make sure they're not damaged or frayed in any way. Making sure again that they're UL listed. That's very important because that means that they've met the criteria for safety requirements before they can be sold on the market. So there's just something else to consider. A lot of people just don't think about it. They go to the store, they pick one up, they buy it, and they reuse it year after year after year. It can get walked on, it can get driven over. We don't think about just running a quick inspection on that. It could just be as simple as taking a cord and just running your hand or fingers over the entire length of it and see if you pick up any anomaly, a fray or a cut in the coating.
You see more use of electrical devices as the years have gone by. Do you think there's more fires caused by electrical devices relative to other fires now because of the use of all these devices and all this equipment that people have in their homes?
I think that's a fair statement. Definitely with the lithium-ion battery dependence that our society has become, ever increasingly using. There's a whole nother segment that we could do on lithium-ion battery safety. But I think the important thing is to don't buy aftermarket brands. Try to avoid those if you can. Typically, they may not meet the safety requirements that you would normally expect. And again, not overloading an outlet. Using an approved charging cord is also key. It's very easy to pick up an aftermarket charging cord, and that may not hold up to the use that it's expected to.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
There's a lot of things that you can buy on the internet now from all sorts of different sites that come from various sources that they don't have a UL approved, they don't have an FM approved, and that means that they didn't undergo any tests at all. And even sometimes you'll find stuff that'll come in and it actually isn't even rated for this country.
Yes.
Because it's just, it comes from wherever they bought it from. Another thing, too, is we have to be very, very cognizant of is extension cords. extension cords are huge for starting fires and stuff like that. Never, ever, ever put appliances or heaters, space heaters or whatever, on an extension cord. They have to be plugged directly into the roll. And don't overload your power strips or other extension cords either. Those little zip cords, I like to tell people that they're good for like one string of lights or something like that, but beyond that, don't put anything else on them. They're just way too small.
Yeah.
That's excellent information. I did want to just say one more thing about the fuel cell, the batteries for the phones and cars now, and sometimes the scooters as well.
Oh yeah.
If the connection, say the scooter gets dropped or the car gets bumped or there's something wrong with the phone, the lithium battery, because its connection gets loose, could cause a fire. And that's one of the ways that you can actually be more cautious about what you're using if it's lithium battery oriented. That, make sure that if there have any of those kinds of things happen to your phone, to your car, to your scooter or bicycle, that make sure that the battery is set up in a strong, in place, because once it becomes loose, it can cause a fire.
Yeah, it's a great point. I think that, part of what we do, a lot of people just look at the fire department as, well, we call 911 and they respond, but I think our jobs are much larger than that. There's many facets to what we do. And one of the things that is very important to us as a fire department or as the fire service as a whole is risk reduction and risk reduction strategies and initiatives. And being here with you guys today is part of our risk reduction strategy. It's messaging. It's awareness. It's letting people know what to be cautious of, things to avoid, and how you can make yourself safer. Because that's our mission. It really is. And one thing I want to just kind of close on with the safety component is make sure your smoke detectors are checked on a monthly basis. That's just as simple as going up to your unit and pressing the test button on the unit and make sure that it's good. If you don't remember the last time you changed your batteries in your detector, then that's probably a good indicator they need to be changed. But we do recommend changing the batteries typically when we do our clock changes in the spring and the fall. Those are good benchmarks for people. It's easy to remember to get in there and change your batteries out. Another thing that we like to recommend is to have a fire extinguisher accessible for key areas in your home. Those are the type of extinguishers that you would find at the hardware store. They're very small, maybe 5 pounds, but what is important about that is keep it near a cooking area, or maybe you have one in your garage where you may have a lot of electrical equipment, because what that would do is that's just another tool for you to protect yourself, and as you're exiting your property, if there is, God forbid, a fire. We tend not to encourage people to fight their own fires. I think we would like to help them do that, but it helps you buy time so that your family and your loved ones can escape safely. So I do want to mention that. And then I think the other key component is to know two ways out of your property, wherever you live. Know how to get out in the case of emergency. If you depend on one means of entry and exit, try to have a secondary way to get out of your house when there's an emergency. And then if you do have multiple people that live with you, try to have a meeting place that you can all agree on. That's easy, so that in the case of emergency, especially in the middle of the night, if you're awoken from a deep sleep, cognitively you might not have your sense or wits about you. Your adrenaline can interfere with your ability to think clearly. Have an easily identifiable area outside of your home where you can meet up, so that everybody can do a head count and see who's out. Because when the firefighters get there, that's the first thing we want to know. Is everybody out? Is everybody accounted for? Because that puts a whole different dynamic on how we mitigate a fire.
Mm-hmm. I just want to add a little bit to that. That's excellent, because having ways out other than the doors was very important, especially for the second floor. And one of the things that I used to do when I first got out of college was license family daycare homes. And so one of the things that we always made sure about was to have a place where there might be some type of a rope ladder that you could throw out the window
Mm-hmm.
and make sure that you can get the kids out. And of course, we'd license second-story apartments, and because I was designated to do Norwich, so I had the whole town of Norwich for myself. And there's a lot of multifamily dwellings there. But it's interesting that you could actually get one of those types of things for a home where you're all sleeping upstairs and you need to get out because the downstairs you can't get out because that's where the fire is.
Right.
So getting a rope ladder is a possibility too.
I'd like Pete to also piggyback on what I've been saying, just so you hear a different voice. Pete, you just want to tell people about carbon monoxide safety?
So carbon monoxide is odorless, colorless. It's very dangerous. I was just reading an article this morning about how, unfortunately, a lady was a fatality in a fire department. I think it was down in Pennsylvania, and that 11 firefighters also got overcome by it. Everybody thinks that it's something you can see, something you smell. It just is not that way. Carbon monoxide detectors are recommended and required for new construction for any building with a type of furnace or boiler that has a fuel.
It could be like propane or natural gas or oil.
Or even wood stove or oil, is fits that. So we recommend carbon monoxide detectors for any of those homes. And even if you don't have a fossil fuel furnace or something like that, the funny thing is that over the years I've actually seen carbon monoxide detectors go off before smoke detectors during structure fires. So they sometimes, depending on the way that the smoke is moving and stuff like that, they get a little bit of a jump on it too. So they're a very, very valuable tool for something that is very, very dangerous.
That's a really good point. That's really important.
Yes, it is, especially when you've got HVAC systems in so many places. I think that probably that's maybe the easiest way for carbon monoxide poisoning to occur, but I could be wrong. I mean, but it certainly is one way for it to travel through the house quickly.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong, Susan. I think that one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that carbon monoxide tends to move around in pockets within the air, and it can fluctuate. So it can get drawn into some type of heating and ventilation system and be dispersed to other areas. So no, that is a good point. I just want to also touch upon with the holiday season and trees that are brought into people's homes and the safety that is involved with that. We just had an example in the town of Sprague yesterday, where there was a residential structure fire that was dispatched, and the caller reported that their Christmas tree was on fire. So just, real quick, obviously picking the right tree to bring into your home is important, making sure that it's fresh, that the needles are really green on it, that it's not already falling off the tree when you purchase it, because that's a significant sign that it's dried out already. Just prepping the tree within your home is important. Cutting an extra 2 inches off the base so that you're getting a fresh portion of the trunk to actually continue to absorb water from the tree stand. Making sure it's 3 feet away from any heat source, such as fireplaces or candles or heating vents. And making sure that your tree is not blocking an exit for you. Oftentimes, trees are put in a position where they can become an obstruction to people who need to evacuate their property in a timely manner. Maintaining the water in the tree base is super important. Keeping that tree fresh and hydrated are some key points that I just wanted to leave you guys with. And obviously, don't put candles on it. And try to move. If your lights are old, if they're old strands of lights, it may be time to consider upgrading your lighting to an LED-based lighting, which does not emit the heat that the old incandescent lights do, is another important tip. So I just wanted to share that with you. And then after the holiday season's over, it's probably important if you're gonna forget to water your tree and not keep up with it, it's time to get it out of the house.
And do you know of any places, this is just off the top, somebody just asked me, where can we bring the trees once we're finished with them for the holidays? Do you have any ideas about what people can do?
Sure. I would encourage people to look at their towns where they live and see if their transfer stations will accept trees at no charge. And many times these trees, when they're disposed at transfer stations, they're ground up to make mulch that people can use to enhance their landscaping in the spring. So that's where I would be looking at as far as disposing of the tree.
Thank you for that information.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we're down to our last 2 minutes. Time flies when you're on the radio.
Yeah, it does.
And we're at a taxing district meeting. Not so much. But anyway, we're down to the last couple of minutes. You guys have anything you want to add at the end and to finish up the show?
As always, just thank you for the opportunity to sit with you guys for a little bit and to talk shop, at least from the fire department perspective. And again, it just gives us an opportunity to continuing with safety messaging to the public. So we really appreciate that. And regardless of which holiday you're celebrating this season, enjoy. I hope it's happy and a great experience for you and your families. So,
Peter?
Pretty much the same. Very much appreciative of allowing us to get out the safety message, especially this time of year and everything like that. We want to make sure that everybody's family is happy, healthy, and safe.
Well, you're doing us a big favor by being on. We like the show to be meaningful to the community. We get one show a week. We're not like Wayne Norman 5 times a week. And we do have our own audience. And, our audience is very responsive to what we have on the show. We have great guests every week, and you guys are no exception. We're great to have you, and we hope you come back soon. And I'm so happy I think I learned some stuff today that I've got to think about and go back home, and Susan and I will talk about it and say, hey, maybe we're not doing it exactly right.
Oh, wow. We'll have a Let's Talk About It show right in our house.
We will.
I just want to wish you both a wonderful holiday season and wish our listening audience a wonderful holiday season as well. We have so many holidays to celebrate, but we're coming up on Christmas, so Merry Christmas.
You as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Chief Palmer and Deputy Chief Bruscato. Thanks for being on the show. We've had a string of great, starting with Joe Courtney several weeks ago, of great shows every Friday. Not that our previous shows weren't great when I look back on them, but we're doing real well here. The show is very popular. We're getting a lot of great feedback from the community, and you know what makes the show? The guests make the show.
Absolutely.
The guests
all about
make the
guests.
show, and it's not going to be just a Dennis and Susan show. It's going to be with the guests, and you guys made our show today, and the show can be seen on YouTube and on the website of the WILI, and also on the Susan Johnson's website on the State Department of Legislative Department.
Yes.
So this is Dennis
That's
O'Brien, Susan Johnson, and for the chief and deputy chief, thank you so much. We'll be back with another great show next Friday, the 26th, the day after Christmas. Thank you.